Hi children, welcome back. Yes, this is Kashish from English with Kashish. Okay, so today we have Sonnet. What is a sonnet? Sonnet is a 14-line poem. Alright, so William Shakespeare had written 144 sonnets. This particular is the 73rd one picked up from there. It's called That Time of the Year. Now, as the name suggests, it's about a particular time that William Shakespeare is talking about. Let's find out a little bit about the poet and then start the poem. We all would have heard about William Shakespeare here and there. He was one of the most renowned poet and hard worker. Okay, so William Shakespeare was an English playwright, poet and actor. Widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's greatest dramatist. Dramatist is a person who works in a drama company, alright, and he acts in plays. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. He never attended any university. Only worked as a professor for some time, and then he left that also and went to a drama company. He was the curtain raiser, the man who opens the curtains just before the play is about to start. He was a curtain raiser for a long time, and with his hard work and everything, he came up to be an actor, a poet and a writer. He wrote the blockbuster plays of his day. Some of his most important are Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, and Hamlet. There are a lot of movies also made out of these particular plays. Alright, so you can remember these Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet, these three popular ones you can remember. It might come in your exam. So let's move on to the starting of the poem. I will read the poem once and then do the line by line explanation. Okay, so that time of year thou mayst in me behold. Now, in every sonnet, it is a 14-line poem. They have rhyming words, okay. So, in this particular one, it is, see, every alternate will have a rhyming word. Behold, cold, day, away, west, rest, right. So, here he forms a format of AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF and ends it with G and G, okay. So, most of the sonnets follow this pattern. Let's start again. That time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves or none or few do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Bare ruined choirs where late the sweet birds sang, in me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away. Death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire. Consumed with that which it was nourished by, this thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong. To love that well which thou must leave along. In this particular poem, he tells the reader that now that my end is here, I think you should start loving me more. And how he uses metaphors for every action, let's find out. That time of year thou mayst in me behold. Which is that time of the year? It is the late autumn or the early winter. Okay, just before the winter sets in, he is talking about that time. He is talking about that time of his life when he is just about to die, just before that. So this is the metaphor. He is explaining his life through autumn, the end, starting of the winter. Alright? When yellow leaves or none or few do hang. Earlier, the trees were full of leaves, and now there are very few or none. All the leaves have fallen down. This he compares to his health. Earlier he was full healthy. Now by age he is becoming old and his strength and energy is drained out. What are the yellow leaves? Leaves which have faded. In autumn, the green leaves turn into yellow. That means this is the sign of decay. That means his death is coming closer. Upon those boughs which shake against the cold. What are boughs? Boughs are branches of trees. Now branches of trees also come down. This picture represents the old form. Now when you see someone old, what do you see? They mostly feel cold. Don't they feel cold? We relate old age to feeling more cold. The warmth in their body reduces. So they tend to feel more cold. Okay, so he has gone from autumn to winter now. That means more ahead in his life, which shake against the cold, as an old person shakes when he's feeling cold. Bare ruined choirs where late the sweet birds sang. Now what are bare ruined choirs? Bare leafless branches where the sweet birds used to sing till recently, or the remains of a church stripped off its roof and exposed to the elements. Earlier he had a very nice, lively, rosy life, but now he doesn't. Now his life is going to come to an end. So he's old, he's lonely. What does this tell you? Earlier there were birds singing, so many birds singing. It was such a lively atmosphere. Now there are very few or none. His life is very lonely. Earlier the church bells you could hear. There was so much of life. But now none. The church also looks empty. In me thou seest the twilight of such day. From seasons, autumn, winter. Now he is moved to morning and day and night, right? So there is a switch now. Now the author is talking about twilight. What is twilight? Twilight is just before the sunset, the light that you see just before sunset. He is talking about that kind of light, that the day is coming to an end. Now it's going to be night, the sun is going to set, it's going to be dark. As after sunset fadeth in the west. Just after the sunset will fade down, it's going to be dark. I can see the twilight, I can see just before the darkness. And when the sun sets in, what will happen? It will become fully dark. Which by and by black night doth take away. What will the black night do? Black night will take away all my sunshine. The little light that was left in me, the dark night will take it away. Death's second self that seals up all in rest. Now what is death's second self? It is the black night, the twin of death, which closes up everyone in sleep. There are two things here. One thing is end of the day. What happens? You go back home and you sleep. It's the end of your day. But in death, what happens? Do you get up? No, you do not wake up. Once you sleep, you are asleep forever. So it seals up all in rest. It closes everything, your relationships, your family, your love, everything closes completely forever. This is what he wants to say. It's end of the day, that when death comes in, everything ends. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire. What is the fire that we're talking about here? Have you seen a wood burning? When the wood burns, there is very little fire on top. This fire is come because of the wood burning, right? How did this fire come? Because the wood was burning. And how will this fire die? It will die back into the wood. So he is talking about that glowing of such fire, the last remains of a fire. Even the candle, when it's just going to go down, the last bit of the candle. That on the ashes of his youth doth lie. His youth is now only small fire remaining. That's the end of it. When the entire fire will die down, he will die too. Why is he talking about this? Why is the author talking about all this? There is no connection between that, right? What does he want to tell the reader? He's talking about the seasons, he's talking about day and night, and he's talking about the burning fire. He is trying to tell us something. As the deathbed whereon it must expire. Ultimately, By the end of the day, what will happen? Now, everything is a cycle, right? We see autumn, we see spring, and then we see autumn again. So it's a cycle. We see the day, we see the night, and then we see morning again. We see the day again. But here, we don't. In death, we don't. Once a person dies, he is not alive again. So this is what he is talking about. Once I die, you will never be able to see me again. As the deathbed wear on, it must expire. It is the deathbed that everything has an end. It expires. Deathbed is the ash, the deathbed of fire. Consumed with that which it was nourished by. It will be consumed with what it was given food with. Alright, that particular wood was letting the fire burn, and the fire will go back to that wood again. So that is what he means here. What is consumed by? It's wasting away on the dead ashes which once nourished it. So once the fire was burning, and it will get back to that same wood. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong. At this point, author starts telling the reader that this is important. I'm going to die. I want my love to be strong at this point. To love that well which thou must leave ere long. Everything will die, yes, but my memories will always be there. My love for you is strong and will always be there. My love for you will never die. Such a beautiful explanation of the poem. Now we will start with the question answers. I hope you understood the mind of William Shakespeare. He told us with the metaphors of seasons, day and night, and fire about his life, and that it is going to come to an end. And what does he want from the reader at the last stage of his life? Now question number 1, which is on page number 104. You can open the book and do it with me. Which of the following 4 seasons is the poet talking about in the first stanza? Is it spring, summer, autumn, or winter? Which is the season? It is autumn that the author is talking about. It is end of autumn and just the beginning of winter when the leaves are fallen down. You must be seeing when it's autumn around you, you will see all the leaves are all falling down and they turn yellow. Question number 1 itself, B. Which words in the stanza support your answer? Which are the words which tell you that it is autumn? When yellow leaves or none or few do hang. Question 2. The 4 seasons correspond to the 4 stages of man's life. What are the 4 stages? Childhood, youth, old age, and death. Where does the poet imagine himself to be? Where does the poet think he is at this particular stage? He is at the autumn, which is the old age, the oldest, where his health deteriorates, yes, as the leaves die down. What are compared to bare ruined choirs? 2 things. The boughs on which birds used to sit and sing. These are compared to the bare ruined choirs. Next, question 3b. What does the comparison mean? The comparison reveals that the boughs have become bare now, bare fit of all the leaves and birds that used to sing. The tree seems to be very lonely now without the leaves and the birds as compared to the poet's life. Question 4. Through the image of late autumn, in the first stanza, the poet convinces his friend that he is close to his death. What image does the poet use in the second stanza? Twilight of such day. He uses this image. Now you can close your eyes and imagine the twilight of that day, the end of the day, just before sunset. It's orange, it's dull. That's what the author uses to convince his friend that he is very close to his death. Question number 5. Like seasons or stages of man's life, a day can also be divided into 4 stages. Morning, noon, evening and night. Now where does the poet imagine himself to be in the second stanza? Yes, it is evening. The poet imagined himself in the evening part of it, just before the night, which is twilight. Question number 6. What is referred to as death's second self? All the questions are in page 104. Sleep. What is death's second self? It is sleep. So everyday routine kind of sleep, you wake up in the morning for another day, but death, you do not wake up the next day. Question number 7. Identify the metaphors used by the poet to show the approach of death. Twilight or black night. These are the two metaphors he's used. He has compared, the comparison. He is comparing twilight to death. Black night, dark, loneliness, sadness to death. Question number 8. Through the usage of twilight, the poet repeats that he is approaching the night of his life. What image does he use in the next stanza? He uses the image of a death bed in his next stanza. Question number 9. As in the other images, the fire image of the third stanza also has 4 stages. Every stanza he has divided into stages, and in every stanza itself he is in the last stage, like autumn or winter or twilight or deathbed, fire, end of the fire, when the fire is completely burnt. Now this also, it is ember. That means just before it turns itself into ash. Ash is the remains of the fire. It's died down. But just before it dies down is ember. Okay. Question 10a. What lies on the ashes of its youth? The glowing of fire in the poet, that is enthusiasm for life. That little bit fire that is left is the enthusiasm for him to live, is there on the ashes of its youth. What does deathbed mean here? This is question 10 itself, the B part. The ember, that is the still remaining interest in life, the little bit interest, some few days that are left of his life. Question number 11. This in the couplet refers to back to the 3 quatrains, forward to the next 2 lines, or to both. It refers to both. When does love become more strong? This is question 12. Love becomes stronger when it is time to leave or let go. That's when love becomes stronger. You don't realize the value of a person throughout the life, when he's alive and happy. Just when he is sick and you know death is near, you realize the value of that person, right? So love becomes stronger when it's time to leave or let go. When your sister is with you, you fight with her every day, right? But when she gets admission into a college and she is about to go or leave India, what do you feel? Oh my God, my sister is going to go. I'm not going to see her every day. Just before she's leaving, you tend to love her more. Question number 13. The poem is about the stage of life in which the poet imagines himself to be. What stage does he imagine himself to be in? A. Comparing life to the seasons, he identifies his present stage with what season? Autumn season. He's comparing his life to seasons, right? So what season is he comparing? Autumn. Remember that. Comparing life to the day. Now the next stanza compares his life to the day. He identifies his present stage with what time of the day? Yes, it is twilight, just before the darkness sets in. Comparing life to the fire. He identifies his present stage with what? Now fire. Which part of fire? Ember. Just before it turns into ashes. This is where the poem ends. I hope you enjoyed the poem. I am going to read the summary once again for you to remember the poem. Okay? The poet wants his friend or beloved, the reader, to be very loving with him. Why? Hence, he tries to impress upon the friend or beloved that he might not live for a long time. And within the short time available, they should be very happy together. The poet says that he has reached this time of autumn when leaves are yellow, shiver in the cold and start falling. There is no music. Changing his metaphor, the poet says that he has reached his twilight when night will soon approach and make him sleep. Metaphor is something which you use to compare something to. Here the metaphor used for life of the poet are autumn, twilight, okay. Shifting to another metaphor. Now every stanza has a different metaphor. The poet says that he has lost his glow of the fire and is on the ashes of his youth. Anytime this small glow will die down. First metaphor is autumn, second metaphor is twilight, third metaphor which is used is ashes, okay, the glow of fire. It is for the reason that he might not live long that the poet feels greater love for the friend or beloved and wants that person to love him more. That is the end of a beautiful poem, That Time of the Year. Please remember all the metaphors and the question answers. All the question answers are in the app, so don't forget to go through them. There are a lot of quizzes also and games with lots of points. I hope you score all the points. Signing out, Kashish Chugh. Thank you.